Hello and welcome back to another episode of Collider Jedi Council. I'm Kristian Harloff, aka Darth Harloff, and this is our Star Wars show. And it's the first Star Wars show that the entire council has actually seen, The Force Awakens. Now don't worry, we know that a lot of you have not seen it. We're not going to spoil it. We're going to talk and give a little our thoughts on the movie, but nothing that's going to spoil the experience for you guys.
That's next week.
That's next week. We'll talk about that in a sec. Joining us on the council, she is the newest member of the Jedi Council. It's the Smith Lord, Tiffany Smith. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi.
That's a great Queen Elizabeth you got
I
going
like
on
that.
there.
It's my like mix of Sith / Jedi, because people are like, "Are you a Sith or a Jedi now?" I don't know.
You're Sith.
I'm still Smith Lord always.
Next to her, it is Obi-Jon Kenobi, John Campea. Hello, John.
How you doing, guys? It's exciting. We are now in. It's official. We are in the post Star Wars: The Force Awakens era now.
And now
it's so weird.
It's really weird. Like John and I were talking before, and we're walking. We're like, we're about a year away from Rogue One. Like everything now coming into the next year is going to be all about Rogue One.
We were talking about that. We're walking downtown Burbank, and I said, the weird thing is that it's up till this point, Rogue One has just in our minds has just been theoretical.
Right.
Oh yeah, somewhere down the line there's this Rogue thing.
Yeah.
Rogue One is now the next Star Wars movie. It's the next one coming. When the first Star Wars: The Force Awakens trailer dropped, that's how far we are away from Rogue One now.
Well, it also
it's
means
kind of crazy.
It is, and it also means that the Disney machine is going to turn away from The Force Awakens eventually and start putting all of that marketing magic behind Rogue One. Because that to me is very exciting, because The Force Awakens in Episode 7, people know that when they hear it, it's kind of a built-in brand, is where Rogue One, a lot of people are going to be like, well, wait, what's that? So some people are not aware even what Rogue One is.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, there's a lot of casual film fans that have no idea that there's a movie called Rogue One coming out.
So it's going to be very interesting as we approach Rogue One. But we are still in the era of The Force Awakens. It's hitting theaters today. It is pretty exciting. This is the Star Wars movie news section of our show. We talk about everything happening in the world of Star Wars movies. It's a little dominant with The Force Awakens, with everything happening today, obviously. And Tiffany, what did we do on Monday?
So Monday, I still feel like it's a dream. We got to go to the premiere in downtown LA, in Hollywood. We were at the Chinese theater. There were a couple of theaters showing the movie. It was packed. It's one of the biggest premieres that I've ever been to. Yeah. They shut down more streets.
By far, it's the biggest premiere I've ever been to.
Yeah, and they shut down more streets than they even do for the Oscars. So that was pretty epic. But we were all there. We all had an awesome time. We took a limo down together. But what was your night like?
I mean, it was pretty magical, to be honest. I mean, even when we got here, it was just that John and I, when we first we didn't even have to say anything. We kind of locked eyes and we knew it's going down tonight. And like we got ready. We got into. I got a tux. I made sure that I classed it up. I got the tux.
Why awkward laughing when you say you classed it up?
I said classed it up. And then we got into the smart move was getting the limo because the streets were just shut off.
Oh my heavens.
But
I just thought it was a good
crazy
idea. Well, it wasn't until we were trying to drive around downtown LA.
It was essential.
We're in the back of the car. I'm like, I am so glad we got a limo. Like, this is crazy.
Listen, we were going to the nerd prom and we needed a limo to get there.
Yes, we did.
It's a great way to put it. As we get there, just to show you kind of what kind of night we were having, we pull up, and as the crowd's like, who are these idiots? Right in front of us, literally standing right in front of us, is Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And I look to my left. I see Harrison Ford, and he's talking to Alan Horn, chairman over at Disney.
Yeah, he was standing right there in front of us.
Yeah, and then I turned and I looked over, and then Colin Trevorrow was there, and then we look over, and Jason Bateman walks in, and like all this stuff.
And
the crowd
Frank Oz, Frank Yoda himself, Frank
John
Oz was
Williams,
standing right there. John Williams, all these guys were just standing right there in this little collection with us.
We didn't even care about getting our tickets. We're freezing. We're just kind of like, and then the music's playing in the background. There's fans and screaming with the stormtrooper helmets on.
The best part of that little conglomeration there, though, was somebody stepped on Anne's foot. Oh. And she looked, and it was Spike Lee had accidentally stepped on her foot.
Great.
And Spike Lee said, I'm sorry, baby. So that was just like Anne's night right there.
Yes, I mean, Tiff, how about yourself?
It was just really cool because I think not only did we get to see, obviously, all the actors and so many of the directors, but it's directors for the new Star Wars films that were on the carpet as well.
Right.
And people who are just fans. I mean, we saw Phil Lord and Chris Miller were there. Like you said, Colin Trevorrow was there.
Dave Filoni from Rebels. I got to
Yeah.
talk to him for a little bit. I mean, even other directors not necessarily involved with this franchise, but rumored to be part of the Disney family now with Black Panther. Ryan Coogler was there. I got to chat with him for a little bit. And then some. Dennis, I think you have some of the pictures up as well too. Let's just kind of fire through some of those pictures of that night. We can kind of
Kristian
go
and I
through
were
them.
very happy.
Yeah. That was Tiffany and I. Like, right. They had like these big banners. And Tiff was like, "Come on, take a picture," and right away. So that was just the way that they set it up for the everyone involved. And I loved how together everyone on that carpet was. It wasn't like they were exclusive. Like, no, you
wonderful.
can't be there. Yeah. I would just fire through. Yeah, that's when I got to talk to Ryan Coogler. What a cool dude he is. Star Wars fan in general. And Ellis had a great comment to him. He's like, "No offense, man, but I hope you have the second best movie of the year." And he laughed.
Well, and I do remember you and Mark and John were taking photos and like scoping people out and chatting with them. And I'd like come over and whisper. I'd be like, Lupita Nyong'o's coming down the carpet.
Yep.
And you'd be like, cool,
Yeah.
thank you. And you
That
turn
was it,
around and move on to the
It
next
was so
one.
funny because literally turn around and you almost brushed her with your shoulder because that's how close we were all
Yeah.
standing.
Yep.
It's like, oh, it's Lupita Nyong'o.
Yep.
How you doing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was awesome.
What else do we have there, Dennis? Because there's. Yeah, someone snapped that of me from the live stream that they did, and what upset me though, and I there's another one that I had. I think that might be the long version of this, but I wanted all night. There's one person I wanted to meet that I did. That a picture will come up in a second, but there was one person I really wanted to meet, and Kathleen Kennedy. And then think it's that picture. She's standing right behind me, and I was just like, and I'm yelling at myself as I'm looking at the picture. Turn around, you idiot! Turn around. Okay, let's.
You know what's cool about Kathleen Kennedy too?
Yeah.
This is a little tiny thing that says something about her. All right, you know, you brush by somebody and you knock shoulders and you say, "Oh, sorry." I brush the things with.
That's
and
because you're
her-
Canadian, by the way.
That's true. That's a Canadian thing. But brush shoulder with her. I'm sorry. I hope you have a lovely night. And it's like, that's so nice.
Yeah.
To a total stranger. That's the
she's
type of person she is.
But the other picture there, that was Peter Mayhew.
Yes.
Saw him afterwards.
The reason that the lighting is so weird is because that was the after party.
That was the after
Yeah.
party when
Yep.
we got a chance to see him, and he was standing right next to Harrison Ford. Okay,
sitting right
keep
next to him.
firing through
What
this.
else we
That
got?
was the one. That was the one I was super excited about.
Yep.
It.
And you know the funny thing is, before you say it,
Yeah.
there's at least half the people watching this video don't even know who that is you're with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
The reason you're watching
You
Force
hear
Awakens.
the phrase so and so's the man, so and so's the man. No, that beside Kristian is the capital T
Yep.
man.
Yep.
That's Bob Iger.
Bob
Yep.
Iger, when I saw him, and nobody was asking him for pictures or anything, too,
Yeah.
and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, Mr. Iger, thank you for everything you've done for Star Wars fans. Thank you for tonight.
And for people who don't know who Bob Iger is,
Yeah, Bob Iger is that. What John was just explaining. He's the guy that was
he's
responsible.
the chairman.
He's the one.
the head guy of
For
Disney.
Disney.
He
Yeah.
sat down with Lucas and said, "Why don't you sell Star Wars to us, George?"
Yeah.
Yep.
He's the guy.
And
He's the guy.
I remember being at the last Avengers junket, and while I was there, like usually everything moves really smoothly. All of a sudden, they're like, "Hold on, we got to stop doing all the interviews." Bob Iger walks in, sits down, chats with Chris Evans for a little bit, and everything stopped. And you're like,
As it should.
Well, yeah, exactly. And some people were like, "Well, who's that?" And there I was like, "It's Bob Iger."
You know what?
Don't say anything.
We've talked before. I don't know why we haven't discussed this before. We've talked before about different people we would like to get on
Oh
Jedi
man,
Council.
he'd be
you kidding
amazing.
me?
We have to get Bob Iger.
I would.
I mean,
love
that's storming the castle and everything, or the mouse castle. But we got to. Don't you
I was
agree?
going to say it's
We
like
gotta get
I was going to
Bob
say it's
Iger.
like getting the Emperor, but he's not the Emperor. It's like getting like Mon Mothma or something. You know?
Yeah. Like whether he comes down here or whether he lets us go and visit him and shoot something in his office, we've got to see
Yeah,
if we
right.
can
He
get Bob
would
Iger.
never let us shoot anything in his office. He'd be like, "There's too much stuff in
I know,
here
it's true.
that
Well,
you're
yeah,
not supposed
maybe.
to know."
Yes, that's very much maybe true.
I would love to get him. He was he was
We gotta
nice,
see if we can get
gracious.
Bob
Yeah,
Iger.
trust me, I'd love to. He's an absolute wish list guy for
Seriously.
sure. All right, and then Mark got some good pictures down the line. Oh, that was me and Filoni.
Yeah.
I got to talk to him for a bit. Asked him about
Executive
coming on.
producer, showrunner of Rebels
Yeah.
and Clone Wars.
And this is
Always with the cowboy hat.
And the reason I wanted to bring this up too is I said to him, because we had talked about it, John, on Jedi Council before, that he would be a great person to do an anthology movie, you know, because he knows the word
Absolutely he would
so
be,
well. And I
yes.
told him that again. And he's like, keep talking about it. And I said, hey, we helped sell a lot of Lost Stars books.
we sure did.
Well, guys, Dave Filoni's a guy that I think personally, and I'm not telling you to do anything that you guys don't think would be good. But if you think Dave Filoni would be a good director for an anthology film, tweet it out. Let people know. Hashtag it. get the tweets out going there. I think he's a guy. Even when I'm watching The Force Awakens, I'm like, Filoni knows this world. I would love to see him do an anthology.
Not that we have any complaints about the directors
not
they
at
hired
all.
to
No,
do
not at
anthology
all.
films.
But as you're building more and more and more,
he would be a
why
great
not?
addition to that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what I love about him too is that he knows the actors that he works with so well. And he actually chooses, he's like, oh, I know this person's chemistry is really great with this person. And I think that that's something that as a director, I mean, say what you want about George Lucas, but everyone talks about that he's not an actor's director. And you're like somebody like Filoni who knows his actors and likes to play with them and gets how excited people are about the property.
Yeah.
I think would be so cool. It would
We
give
had
it such
Freddie,
a different energy.
When we had Freddie Prinze Jr. in here, he could just not just on camera but off camera as well. He couldn't say enough about Dave Filoni.
No, they all
he
love
loves
him.
working with actors love working with him. I think he'd be great.
Everyone that I've ever talked to that has worked with him has nothing to say except great words. And the fact that and I spoke to him about this on the carpet actually, about the way that he puts together casts. He's like, you gotta put together people that have fun and that work together, and it's all about the cast and it's all about the way that they come he knows, and being the ultimate Star Wars fan. So that's just something that I told him that I would definitely mention on this show, and I wanted to stay true to my word because I truly believe he would be a great director for an anthology film.
Totally agree.
Mark got some really good pictures too. There we go. I keep forgetting about my pictures with great Andy Serkis.
Wait, so let's just talk about this for a second. You guys, I think a lot of you may know this, but I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan as well. I've got my Elvish tattoo. But I walked up and you're talking to Andy Serkis and I was like, can I meet him?
Did you
and then
not-
he walked away and I was like, no.
Why didn't you stand next to me?
Because I walked up and you were chatting to him. So I
Oh.
was like, there's still like, we all have those geek out moments where
Yeah.
it's like somebody that you're just so amazed by. And
He's
like, obviously now seeing The Force Awakens, you're like, there's a whole nother character that he's going to be known for, which
Yeah.
is so cool.
For those of you who don't know, Andy Serkis is the motion capture performer for Gollum in The Lord of the
Yep.
Rings,
Right.
for Caesar. He was King Kong. He's like the greatest in the world.
And now
he's a director.
Yes.
And now he's Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yep.
And next year he's got his, not the Jon Favreau version, but he's got his own version of the Jungle Book that
Right.
he's now
And
directing.
he's
His own
filming Apes
company
right now,
called The
too.
Imagine.
Yeah, and he's filming the second Apes
He
movie.
was on
Third.
set. Yeah, third, and he was on set for it, and then came on to be at the premiere. But I had interviewed him a few times beforehand and met him a couple of different times, and he's such a great guy. Like, he recognized me walking up, and I was like, all right, that's the coolest thing ever. The fact that I got to see him again, and he was there with his friends and family, and he's just a sweetheart of a guy, and he's great. Like he always is, and everything else. Okay,
Very true.
moving on to the next one. That was the ultimate. That was a great picture of all of us. Like with just that, I think that shows the atmosphere of kind of exactly. That's right as you walk in.
Yep.
The way they set it up with the music blasting in the background. So that was
Well,
a fun
and you know,
one.
this is my favorite picture of the night because
Yeah.
it's the four of us there. That's the big publicity picture going around of JJ at the thing is that exact spot they were
Yeah,
standing
yeah.
with those stormtroopers and the Phasma behind them. And that's exactly where Lupita Nyong'o was, probably just about 2 feet off to the side
Yep.
when we took that picture. It was a great night.
Who was that stormtrooper next to Tiffany? All right, moving on.
Oh, it was
Oh yeah,
Mark
that.
Ellis.
I love that was our Goodfellas pose before
I
we
don't
left.
remember if it was you or it was Mark. He said, "Hey, let's do the
me.
Goodfellas pose."
Yeah, it was me.
And by the way, it's going to be really hard to see. I'm particularly proud of that tie. By the way,
that stormtrooper.
Yeah.
He had a stormtrooper tie on, and
Yeah.
that is some serious Star Wars flair.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, there he is. See, that's why I made the stormtrooper joke. All right.
Also, because it was really helpful to find any of us when we got seperated because
That's a
of
true story.
Ellis's
just look for
white
the dude in the
top.
white suit.
That is
Yep.
a true story. I was taking a picture, and I was, and it was a friend, and as I'm standing there, she goes, "Didn't you lose your friends?" And I go, "No, I didn't lose. I can't, impossible to lose them." She was like, "What do you mean?"
Look for
And
the
this
guy in
is-
the white tux.
There's a sea of people. I go, "Watch this," and we're watching. I go, "Wait for it." And Ellis comes popping out with the suit, and she's like, "That's amazing." So,
It was pretty awesome.
yeah, I do want to get to some. There you go. That's the picture. Like the fact again, Mark Hamill recognized Ellis and took a picture with him, and that made Ellis's lifetime. I would say Ellis got the best pictures of the night because the next
Yeah, because
one.
this.
I mean-
wrap your head around this. This is the second best picture of the night. This
I
is the
mean-
best picture of the night.
Yeah, and I was standing right there when he asked him, and he's like, "Mr. Lucas, you mind taking a picture?" He's like, sure."
Well, so Ellis came up to me and was like, "Tiffany, I just got the best pictures ever." He's like, "I got a selfie with Mark Hamill and George Lucas." And I'm imagining like Ellis has been taking selfies where it's like his face and they're like over here
there. Yeah.
in the background. So that's what I was imagining. And then he showed me those and I was like, "Are you kidding
Those
me,
are-
dude? That is awesome."
Those are great.
So cool.
Those are lifetime pictures.
Yeah, I
Those are
think-
ones he's going to look at for decades to come.
Yeah.
I think
Totally.
that's it, right, Dennis? Is there one more? Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I had the prettiest girl at the ball with me. I had Anne with me that night, kind of in a very Rey inspired dress.
Yeah, sure.
You don't see the whole dress here, but it was she specifically was looking for dresses that were very Rey inspired, and I think she nailed it.
And the greatest was that she was walking around with that smile on her face the entire
You know
night.
what was really special for me? Here's the thing: when Anne and I first met like 8 years ago. And we started dating. This is a true story. I liked the girl and everything.
Hope so.
But I didn't. But we were still in the very beginning of the relationship, and I was still in the place that I was like, "Hey, man, in 1 year I'm moving back to Canada. I didn't want to be here for all that long. I just want to come down for a year, meet some of my industry contacts, hang out, do the business from here, and then go back home to Canada." Met, fell in love, that kind of thing. But we were a few weeks into our relationship. We weren't all that serious yet. And we were having a conversation, and it came out that she had never seen the Star Wars movies.
Oh, wow.
And I kid you not, she will back this up. It was, this can't go any further unless you see the Star Wars movies. And so she, well, what if I don't like them? I say, hey, look, if you just watch them, that's all I need.
Right.
So she's like, but fortunately she watched them. She became a Star Wars fanatic.
Yeah, she is.
At that moment, she became a fanatic about Star Wars. And now she is a project head at Hasbro.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and I was like, that's kind of one of the really fun, like, small moments that we all had, because when you work for certain companies, you get to see things a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And so we'll be in the car. We were in the limo on the way down. It was like people would ask Anne questions and be like, do you know this? And she's like, I can't say anything. But I'm like, I can't imagine being married to you and not being able to say like the stuff that you know,
Oh, it was
especially
driving
for
her
such a
crazy.
massive fan.
It was driving her. Like, you think it would be I was the one going crazy?
Yeah.
It was actually her going crazy that she couldn't tell me anything. And it was like literally for a long time that, in our place, we couldn't talk about Star Wars because
She's like
she
working
couldn't
at
tell me
CIA.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was great. She never said a peep, and it was
And
great.
you kind of know, and you don't really want to know.
And you know what was great? We're sitting in the Chinese theater about 5 minutes before the movie starts at the premiere, and they were running on the screen this little mini 5-minute documentary about how the original Star Wars debuted in that theater.
Yeah.
And Anne didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
So she looks at me, she goes, like she did. She had that grin on her face all night, but she looks at me, this is where they had the first one. I said, yep. And she just glowed.
That's
She just
awesome.
glowed all night. She loved the movie.
And it
was
was.
so great.
And that's kind of how we all walked around the night. So we just wanted to share that with you guys. Those are some of the pictures. Thank you for those who were joining. We did a bunch of Periscopes and stuff, and we posted those pictures on Instagram. And you guys that were tweeting us and kind of sharing that experience with us as we were there. So thank you to all the great Jedi Council fans. And by the way, thank you to the Jedi Council fans that were there. And in one particular Jedi Council fan that we met, maybe he's watching right now, is Donald Faison.
That was the most awesome.
That was the coolest.
And the most awkward thing at the same time because I'm in the bathroom.
That's where I saw him too.
Really? At a different time?
Yeah, I walked.
Apparently, Donald hangs
He's
out in
hanging
the
out in the
bathrooms at premieres.
And he comes up. I didn't even recognize him at first because I wasn't really looking.
Yeah.
But this dude comes walking up because we had a lot of great Jedi Council fans at the premiere coming up and introducing themselves. And this dude come walking up to me and it's like, dude, Jedi Council's my shit, man. I love Jedi Council. Like, thanks, dude. And then he walks away. And as he's walking away, that's when I really look. And I'm like, I think that was Donald Faison. And Anne loves Donald Faison.
Mark and I walked in again to the bathroom, and he's there, and he goes, "Jedi Council in the house!" He screams it out, and then we saw him at the after party, talked to him for a bit,
And he
he's
was standing with Zach Braff, which was the funniest.
Oh, was
thing.
he really?
He was, yeah,
Oh, I didn't even see him.
And Kyle Newman, they were standing right
that's
there with
hysterical.
us.
I didn't
Yeah.
see him because I was
Kyle's
talking.
who's been on the show before.
Oh wow, yeah. I saw Kyle. I knew Kyle was there. I saw
Yep.
Kyle, but I was talking to Donald, and the thing about not only the fact is he a fan of the show, that dude's a Star Wars fan.
He's a Star Wars nut.
He's a Star Wars nut, and I
It was
said to him,
great.
just talk, because you know when you're talking to somebody, if someone's like a casual fan or diehard, and I'm like, dude, you got to come on Jedi Council. And he's like, I'm down. So he's coming. We're trying to get him. I'm tweeting at him. You guys do the same. Tweet at him. I think we're going to get him pretty soon. So just keep doing that. We'll get Donald on the show. For
His
sure.
energy level is like, it's just such fun just standing there listening to him talk.
I want
It
to
was
talk to him
great.
for like 2 hours on
We
the
were
show.
like on our way out, and he's like, "New girl."
Yeah.
He's like, "I watched your first episode," and then I was like, "Cool." Like, we're all walking out, and he's like, "All right, I'll stop talking. I'll talk to you guys later." And I was like, "You're coming on the show. We'll talk
I
more
could
then."
have stood there and talked with him all night. He's just
Easily.
had such a great energy level and so fun.
If we weren't shooting the review that night, we probably would have sat
Oh,
there
yeah,
and talked
for
to
sure.
him for a
Yeah,
bit. For a while.
probably.
For sure.
Okay, let's move on to the stuff that we were going to talk about, the reason why we were there. Tiffany, what's up?
Let's get into The Force Awakens. We're not going to give spoilers, you guys. We just want to talk about the film a little bit, how we felt about it. But one thing I want to say right before we get into this is that what I loved about Star Wars, the premiere and everything, was there were people waiting outside of the TCL to see it tonight. And they let them into the theater to watch with us.
That's
so
really
I think
cool.
it's such a cool thing where
They take care of their fans,
the
man.
fans, the Dolby did an amazing job. The TCL did an amazing job. And so did the El Capitan. So thank you guys to all those employees over there because
Full
they
props.
killed
Yeah.
it. They were amazing.
They really did. The security was on point. Like everything that they did,
The security was tight but not intrusive.
No,
Did you notice that?
Not at all.
It was great.
They were really on it. They weren't like trying to prove anything, and they were just doing their job and making sure that everybody was safe. And it was a really well-run event.
D23 and now this.
Yeah.
I mean, we always know Disney knows how to run a studio. Disney knows how to run their events.
Yeah, they really do.
They got all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, all the buttons buttoned up. They were great.
Even that Marvel event that they ran over at the El Capitan, and like
it was fabulous.
Everything that it's fan service. It's fan service. It's also running things in a smooth way. But yeah, so the why we were there.
Yes. So we were there for the Force Awakens premiere. We were all waiting forever for this. The actual film, for me, I know we all talked about this on our non-spoiler review the night after. We were all a little sleepy. It was just a lot of emotions going on that night. But for me, I think this is the quote, Star Wars is back.
Yeah.
It felt like I was back in the world that I always wanted to be in. It didn't feel like the prequels, but it felt like it's still tied into that world. We got to see all the characters that we love. We got to meet some new ones and have some great new first moments with them. So for me, it was everything that I wanted. How do you feel?
Well, it's funny though too, because that night, and John and I have talked about this at length in Movie Talk too. We were all from the energy that we were drained by the time we got back, and I certainly had some issues with the movie, but overall, this is Star Wars, man. It is back. Like there are so many things that I enjoyed in the night, but that I keep thinking about. Things that I won't talk about now, that we'll talk about at great length on next week's Jedi Council when we do a full spoiler heavy episode. But it's just the new characters. Daisy Ridley, man, like I was hoping she was going to be good, but she way past my expectations. I thought she was going to be good. She was great. She was great. And John Boyega, also great. Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, the new characters, bringing back the old characters and the way that it was set up. And J.J. Abrams, just the way that the world has just been brought back 30 years later, both in the fictional timeline and in our real timeline. It's just a really well done process, the way that it has all come about. And I think fans are going to be delighted when they see this movie.
Yeah, for me, it is the phrase, Star Wars is back. And I think I said in our first review that we did the night, it's like, to me, it's what we've been yearning for since 1983. I mean, this was it. This was the fulfillment of the promise. And while I refused to let myself drink the Kool-Aid like I did with The Phantom Menace way back in 1999. But, so I had some issues with the movie too. It's not a perfect movie, whatever. But here's the thing. The movie has issues that any other movie has. Hey, this scene might have been able to have the dramatic element here. Maybe they were movie issues like any movie would have. They weren't Star Wars issues, which is, some problems I had with the prequels. And a lot of people like the prequels. Cool. I'm just saying a lot of the issues I had with the prequels, that they were Star Wars issues, not just regular movie issues.
Like there was never a moment that you went, no, that doesn't make sense for this universe.
Exactly. There were no lean back in your chair, roll your eyes, and go, oh my God.
It all felt like part of the universe.
Boyega, to me, I was a little worried about the Boyega character just because of the way the trailers were, right? But he, to me, crushed it. I loved Boyega, like in this movie. I cannot believe how much I liked him. Ridley Daisy was so good. Oscar Isaac, I thought, when the movie started, I thought, okay, this could be a cheesy character a little bit. Nah, he was just great. Yeah. The original cast, the whole bit. The large issues with the movie were all fantastic. Performances, story, narrative flow, effects, action, humor. All the big umbrella issues were all nailed on point, and it whisked you back to that age that was just so great. And when, Han Solo comes back in, it didn't feel like, okay, here's Harrison Ford playing Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like Crystal Skull.
Like Han Solo was back. Right. And, we already have a review up. You can check us talking about it. And tomorrow, we have our full hour and 15-minute long spoiler review that is up tomorrow on Friday for those of you watching us later. So make sure you check that out as well. And then, of course, next week on Jedi Council, we're going to go full into spoilers as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's also something where, you talk about just being movie reviewers. And if we just came on here and we're like, everything about it was absolutely perfect,
Then you wouldn't believe us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like the movie for me was pretty flawless. And the biggest thing that stands out to me that I'm like, man, is kind of a good thing. I'm like, I wanted more from each of the characters.
Yeah,
I wanted more Poe.
Right.
I wanted more Finn. I wanted more Rey. So to me, I'm like, maybe I was a little frustrated by that. But by the same token, I'm like, that's kind of the sign of introduction of great characters that I'm ready to see even more of their stories.
Well, it's the long game, and I've been talking about that. They're playing the long game, and they know that they're confident enough to set it up in this way to introduce a lot of these characters and maybe not give you everything you thought you were going to get, but it gives you have so many more opportunities to do it. And whether or not it's just, if they can't do it now in all the movies, you have the opportunities to where you can do it in all these other mediums now, which is really a great way to further the mythology. All right, Tiff, what's next?
All right, so next up, obviously, we all saw it at the premiere. We're all seeing it multiple times again, but the pre-sales for this film have earned $100 million already. And this is just, Fandango said this is the biggest sales they've ever had for a movie that hasn't been released yet. And so it's so crazy.
It's the biggest for, not just
Anything.
for it hasn't been released yet,
Yeah.
for any movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Jurassic World was the one previously, and that including all the sale times that when
came
it was
after.
out.
Yeah. Yes.
This movie hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
It's coming out today, tonight.
It's already broken
nuts.
Fandango's
Which
record.
that's not saying that, these are the tickets that are just sold for premiere night, because this is like for the whole time period of the film coming out, the tickets have gone on sale. But that being said, that doesn't include people going to the theaters on the days when it's not sold out and picking
Right.
up more tickets.
Right.
So this is just kind of setting the stage of this film is going to break so many records.
Yeah.
So many.
I still don't completely know.
What?
Yeah, see, here's
How
funny.
many-
And the Hollywood Reporter, by the way, the Hollywood Reporter is claiming that there are a number of industry people who are saying that the
Pre-sales.
premiere sales, the advanced ticket sales, were actually closer to the $120 million
Oh,
range.
wow.
Put that in context. The previous record wasn't $80 million. The previous record was held by The Dark Knight, which was $25 million. Wrap your head around that. The previous record was $25 million in advanced ticket sales. This is perhaps close to $120 million in advanced tickets.
Even if it's $100 million, that's still
That's like
four
quadruple the
times.
previous record.
Yeah.
I'm still holding on to my $235 million opening weekend thing idea. It might come in a little bit below that, but I'm going to hold to that for now, which will be the new opening weekend record.
Jurassic was 209.
210
Opening.
200
I
something.
thought it was like 212 or 215, something like that.
It's in that ballpark.
Yeah.
So I still believe it'll break the opening weekend box office record. I still don't know that it's going to catch Avatar.
Okay.
I still don't know that it's going to catch Avatar. But it's got, if you're talking about sports analogy, but having a team will sometimes have a friendly schedule in front of them, Star Wars right now has a friendly schedule in front of it. It
Yeah.
doesn't have a lot of stiff competition till about week 4 or week 5. So possible, but right now I'll say it won't catch Avatar.
Well, you give it the number 2 spot
Really?
for sure.
I think it's got a combating shot for number 2. Yeah.
Okay.
See, I think there's no question, because
Really?
Avatar
No question.
Three
No.
billion is not a no question.
billion.
Well, not. Okay, so Avatar was a totally new thing. No one had any idea what they were seeing.
Right.
So that's exciting. That's, I think, why, because of the fact that people are like, oh, I've got to see it on the big screen. I've got to experience this. Star Wars has the same thing going on with it. Even my family, like, we're going on Christmas and we're seeing it in 3D IMAX. And my mom went out and bought the 3D glasses. Like, she's that excited about it. So I think that there's something where it's not only are we bringing in new fans that just want to see the spectacle, but then you also have the built-in audience of fans that have been waiting for this, like you said, since 1983. So I think that it's not a question for me that it's going to beat Avatar, because it has both of those huge fan bases coming in.
Put this in context, okay? A contemporary, modern, like Avatar is still contemporary, but we're a little more closer to where we are right now. A modern, huge, massive mega hit, Avengers.
Right.
Huge, massive mega hit. Its worldwide total, $1.5 billion.
Are you talking the first Avengers?
The first,
First.
not Age of
Okay.
Ultron. The first Avengers, $1.5 billion. We are talking about Star Wars needing to, and you know how many people saw Avengers. We're talking about Star Wars needing to not just beat it, double what Avengers did. That's tall order.
I think there's way more Star Wars fans because of what Tiffany just said. Because I think that it's with her parents, my dad, like people. I think there's so many generations that are going to see this movie that maybe weren't going out and rushing. Like my dad watched the Avengers, but waited until it came out on TV. I think that there's some generations that have to see this movie in the theater. Now, I'm not necessarily saying I do think that it's going to beat Avatar. I don't think it's a shoo-in though. I think it's going to take a fight, and it won't be by that much.
Well,
but
I'm not saying it's going to be
happen.
by a ton, but I think it is. I feel like it's going to.
Well, here's the rundown right now. The number 5, I think it's actually 5 is still big. So number 5 all-time worldwide right now is Furious 7 with 1.515 billion worldwide. Number 4 is Marvel's The Avengers at 1.519 billion dollars. Number 3 is Jurassic World at 1.66 billion dollars. Then there's a huge jump. Number 2 is Titanic at $2.18 billion. At number 1 is Avatar with 2.7, another big jump, 2.78 billion. So I think it's got a fighting chance for that number 2 spot at 2.1. I just don't know if it'll hit that 2.7.
Here's the funny thing about all those things that you just read off there. Can you read off just the quick 3, 4, and 5? What the movies are?
So number 5 is Furious 7.
Yep.
At 1.515.
Yep.
Number 4, Marvel's The Avengers at 1.519. And number 3, Jurassic World at 1.66.
All 3 of those movies that you just read were summer movies. The other 2 were Titanic and Avatar, which were in that December, January spot. That give them the building spots because, like you said before, there is nothing to compete with. When you had Jurassic World and The Avengers, there were other summer movies that were coming in and taking the business. There's nothing there. That's why I think if it's gonna beat it, that's why. I don't think like an episode 8 has a chance at beating these numbers coming in May because there's so much business. It's just they cannibalize off each other.
Also, just this is like a cultural moment. Like literally, Star Wars is everywhere. I mean, Coffee Mate has Star Wars. There's like Campbell's Soup that are the Star Wars characters. So it feels like something where it's like, if you're not going to see it, you're like the weirdo on the block, you know, where it's like everyone is wanting to be involved with this event. And even the stuff you were listing where it's like Jurassic World for me it got such big numbers because I think people had been waiting for it. If you take that and then you put it onto Star Wars, people have been waiting that much longer for Star Wars to come out. So I think I could easily see more fans of Star Wars than Jurassic.
Well, we're gonna get a good look at some of the numbers very
Sunday.
soon.
Sunday. Look, Sunday comes and it's like $300 million. We got to reevaluate our lives.
Monday is going to be a very interesting movie.
Very telling day.
Make sure you check in, and if you're not watching Movie Talk, you should be. But if especially on Monday, because that's going to be a very interesting conversation.
Absolutely.
I want to get into a DeLorean right now and go watch that episode of Movie Talk.
Well, and kind of just speaking to how this movie will do. Let's move into the next
story. Sure.
The next story is The Force Awakens is to open in over 4,100 theaters. Roughly 330 of them are going to be locations that will offer 3D, and it'll screen in a record of 392 IMAX screens, 13 of which will show the film in 70 millimeter. There will also be 451 premiere large format theaters showing it, and a record 146 D-box locations. So with all of that being said, does that make you feel like, just hearing the numbers, you're like, okay, it's in so many theaters, I really think it's going to be easier for them to break these?
I still don't think that puts it in the top 5 for the number of theaters this year.
Really?
Yeah, I think at 39.
Really?
Yeah, remember about a week ago, their number was 3,900 screens, which I believe at the time made it the number 12 largest opening of 2015. At 4,100, that's just 200 more screens. It's actually probably 220 more screens. That I'm sure that bumps it up a number of places, but it's certainly not the widest release of the year. I don't think. But here's the thing: this is the wild card in all this. Going back to the original Avengers movie, what happened with that movie? Like at the AMC Burbank 16 right here, that was going to, I believe, originally planned to open in 4 of the theaters in the AMC Burbank 16. By 10:30 at night, because it was opening at midnight, they expanded that to 6 theaters.
Right.
By 11 o'clock, they expanded it to 8. By 12 o'clock, it was in all 16 theaters. So that number right now is 4,100. But when it's all said and done, that could be closer to like 4,300, 4,400 screens when it's all said and done. We'll have to see how the weekend numbers turn in.
The other thing that it has going for it, too, is that I don't remember if Avengers did this. Maybe they did, but there's screenings around the clock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Avengers had to do that
Did
too.
it 2
We
o'clock
knew
in the
there's
morning,
people
3 in the morning?
seeing it at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
People seeing it at 2 a.m.
Well, our own Jonathan,
yeah, exactly.
who's over here with headphones on, he hasn't seen the movie yet, so he cannot hear us talking.
5
but he's
a.m.,
sitting
right?
there. He got tickets for 5 a.m. on Friday morning.
Yeah, I mean, there's screenings like 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. It's around the clock. So I am so curious to see what this weekend is going to look like. All right, Tiff, what's next?
All right, so up next, obviously, we don't want to quite move forward yet, but we got to start thinking ahead.
Yep.
JJ and Rian working together on the next film. JJ did an interview and was just talking about the process of how they work together and the fact that, they had some ideas from the beginning, so they had a outline laid out.
Right.
And that there was some stuff which Rian was like, I want to do this, and some stuff JJ was like, yes. Other things that he was like, no, we're not doing that in this movie. So what do you think that dynamic is going to bring to the next film, John?
I think it's completely encouraging, and it is exactly what I want to hear. If JJ's the guy that Disney said to him, you're setting us up, you're rebuilding us, you're reintroducing us to this world, you're telling the first part of the story, it is his right, and it should be, to say this is the story that I just set up. It should go this way. Also, trusting someone like Rian Johnson when they bring it in and say, okay, cool, love your ideas, being a collaborator. Mm-hmm. That's what you need for Star Wars to work overall. There have been times where Star Wars hasn't worked because it hasn't been a full collaboration. This, to me, sounds perfect. Mm-hmm. And I hope it's the same way, and I can't imagine why it wouldn't be, that he's going to be doing the same thing with Colin Trevorrow. But I like hearing this.
It makes me a little nervous.
What
Why?
about that?
The downfall, I believe, of Star Wars before, and not that it ever fell, I'm just saying, I'm just using the hyperbole here, was that the problems inherent with one guy with too much power became apparent as the franchise went on, as we got into it. Return of the Jedi is still my favorite of the Star Wars films, but some people thought it started to dip at that point, and then you got into the prequels and things like that. I am not thrilled with the notion of JJ having veto power moving forward in the franchise at this point.
But he's like Kevin Feige, kind of.
But
I know, yeah. But, see, I actually think Rian Johnson is a better director than J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams may be a better executive. Because when you look at his grand scope, capabilities and his talents, he's fantastic. So it makes me nervous hearing that anybody, aside from Kathleen Kennedy, would be able to say to Rian Johnson, who is the director of the film, say, no, we're not going to do that. I kind of want Johnson to have that.
I don't know, though.
That seemed like it was more about what they were going to put into The Force Awakens. That he was like, Rian was like, I want to do this in the movie. And he's like, no, we can't. We're not putting that into The Force Awakens.
If that's the case, then I'm
that's
totally
what
on
I'm pretty
board.
sure
Yeah.
the
If
article
that's the
was
case,
saying.
I'm totally on board
And
with
that it moves on to them saying that JJ is not going to be in that position for the next film, that Rian is looking like he'll be in that position with Colin. So it will keep moving on down the line. That this person who's working on this one,
if that's the way they're doing it, then
I love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah, because it just goes back to the collaboration point, is that where they need to be on the same page. And I think, and this is what I hope happens though too, because I know that some people had a lot of problems with Jurassic World. I didn't. I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't think it was a particularly deep movie, but it was.
I had problems with it too, but that didn't prevent it from being an awful lot of fun.
I thought it was a lot of
time
fun. I
with
felt
it.
like a Universal Studios ride.
Yeah.
It was like a monster movie, and I was okay with that. But there was a ton of those effects in there that are very related to movies today, like the way that the CGI they used looked. It was good CGI, but the same. It wasn't this type of practical effects and things that they did for The Force Awakens. I want to hope that's going to be the through line throughout this entire trilogy. I want JJ's look to appear in Episode 8. I want that look. I mean, I also want Rian Johnson's style, obviously, but I don't want it to start changing up, and I don't want Trevorrow's to change up what JJ has already put there.
Well, no, it's like the director of a pilot of a TV series, right? What JJ has done here is by doing the first film, he has essentially now set the direction for the new trilogy.
Right.
Not just for the new trilogy, all the Star Wars movies moving forward. That is our template that Rian Johnson, then Colin Trevorrow are going to have to work off of, saying that's our starting point, that is our base, that is the direction we're going in, and then make their films in line with that. And I think they're going to do it well. I really do. And I think especially if they're conferring with each other in advance already of all those things happening, I think it's going to work out really well.
Well, and I think the good part about it is, I mean, that no one is in a position of having too much power. That there is somebody else there who can say, no, that's a bad idea. We're not doing that. Because there does need to be some accountability, because you bring in a director that maybe someone's scared to say that to, and it's like, we end up with Jar Jar. That's what happens.
It's funny though when you look at and I think I said this to you this morning, was that if you put together a style, Episode 7 and JJ similar to Episode 4 and kind of what George Lucas did in Episode 4. Rian Johnson is, you would assume, is going to be making a very dark movie a la...
He's Irvin Kershner.
Episode 5.
Yeah.
And then I think Colin Trevorrow is a better director than Richard Marquand, but still, I think that's his type of feel, and his tone would be somebody that would do a Return of the Jedi, and maybe it's the same type of tone for Episode 9. So I'm just curious that those parallels will indeed be the case when the movies come out.
But you raise what I think is a really great question. Do you think that we are going to see that pattern that we had in the original trilogy, the setup movie, the dark movie, the triumphant movie? Do you think that Episode 8 will be our new Empire Strikes Back? Will it be that dark turn?
Yes. Well, you don't get Rian Johnson for a happy movie. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the story of almost any trilogy if you look at it. The middle ones, you do the dark stuff in the middle one, so that way you can have an upswing at the end of it. I think it would be interesting if they already have the starting, like the germination of the next 3. If they kind of have an idea of that, then you could end the third one a little bit darker, a little bit heavier. But I mean, we always want to see the good guy win in the end, so it's like we want to have that up moment.
But yeah, we're getting an Empire type movie for Episode 8. It's in a year and a half, by the way.
I tend to agree with you. Only a year and a half away.
Take that into consideration. All right, Tiff, what's next?
All right, so up next, you guys, if you haven't seen enough Star Wars, which none of us have, and we always want to see more, on SportsCenter, they're airing the evolution of the lightsaber. They're showing dueling. They've got George Lucas talking about how he originally envisioned the fighting, but you're also, like you're seeing in this picture, seeing Boyega fighting with a lightsaber. So there is some stuff that if you haven't seen the movie, I think you're going to get to see a little bit of behind the scenes footage that may give some hints to some stuff in the film. But it's just so cool to get to see them train. I think some of that stuff for me is my favorite. Getting to see the actors getting into the role, seeing how much work actually goes into this.
Yeah.
To getting them to the point that we see them on the big screen.
To further your point, okay, everybody knows I do trash on the prequels a lot, but I've also always said this. The bonus features on the prequel DVDs are not some of, in my opinion, they are the best bonus features on any disc set ever. And one of the best things was seeing Ray Park and Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson and working out lightsaber combat. If you haven't seen it, see if you can find a way to find it, because it is
sure it's on YouTube.
Fascinating and fun and great. And Mark Hamill was actually pimping this special that's going to be
Well,
on
that's it.
Yeah.
He's the host. He does like a
On the
voiceover.
carpet.
Yeah.
At the
He
premiere,
was talking about it, and I cannot wait to see this. I'm really stoked.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I want to see those behind the scenes footage to watch exactly how they prepared for it. So, all right, what's next?
Next up, we have, which normally he's saying crazy things, but this time he's saying some great stuff. Anthony Daniels is talking about the new C-3PO suit that they used in The Force Awakens and the new technology that helped to push it even further to let him have a little bit more articulation. But what I really loved about it was the fact that he said it made him appreciate the original suit that much more as well, because he was like, look at what we could do with what we had then and then getting to be where they are now. So I thought that was really cool, where it's like honoring the past to getting to where you are, and the fact that he could say to JJ, I would really like, he talks about that he could actually pick up small things, because before he could never move his fingers really.
Right. No, I like the fact that he said this too, and it is nice. You're right, to finally hear him say something happy. I think that the suit he looks like 3PO. The red arm. There's stuff I want to say, but
let's be careful. Can't say anything.
I'm taking it. So we'll talk more about it next week. But I enjoyed the comments, John.
No, I also enjoyed his comments, because when I love Anthony Daniels. He has been the true ambassador for Star Wars for the past 20 years, really, in all the things. And I have a special place in my heart. But in the past couple of years, it's also been whenever he starts to open his mouth to talk, I go, want to say anything to get him in trouble. But this is really nice. And by the way, his interview too on the red carpet at the premiere was really wonderful too. So that was great.
All right, last movie news story.
All right, so our last movie news story is talking about Rogue One and Episode 8, that they will get the 3D treatment from Deluxe Stereo D. Obviously, The Force Awakens got the same treatment from this same company. So is this a surprise for anybody? For me, it's not a big surprise.
No, it's not a surprise, but it's nice to hear that, as far as if they're working. I actually didn't get a chance to see The Force Awakens in 3D, and I'm not a huge 3D fan. I'm a big IMAX fan, but I'm not a huge 3D fan. But I actually do want to see it. I think Dennis said he saw it in 3D, and
the press screenings you guys saw.
And he said they said he really worked until like the Star Destroyer looked cool in 3D. So so that world to me, to hear that Rogue One and Episode 8 will also be in 3D, yeah, it makes sense.
I hate 3D.
I know
it needs to die. It needs to die. It needs to go to the way of smell-o-vision. It is a useless, trumped-up gimmick that's just an excuse for the theater industry to charge you a couple of extra bucks. Every time I go into a 3D movie, no more than 2 minutes goes, like, oh great, a cinematographer puts in all this great energy and effort to make this vibrant, beautiful, gorgeous images, and I'm going to put tinted film over my eyes. I never am in a 3D movie more than 2 minutes. I wish I could just take the damn things off. Yeah. It needs to go.
Well, the thing that excites me about this is that Star Wars made specific 3D glasses, so they have like Captain Phasma ones, Kylo Ren glasses, BB-8 ones. My whole family is going to be wearing them when we see it over the holiday. And of course, I'll social media tweet, post a picture. So you guys send us yours with your glasses on, anybody who's seeing it in 3D, because those will be fun.
Yeah, I hate 3D, but I want those glasses.
All right, those are all our movie news stories right now. And now our next portion of the show, you know it. You either love it or you don't like it. I don't care. It's What's the Deal with Canon? Everything that's going on in the world of Star Wars that's not the movies. It is the comics or the books or the video games or the television shows, anything that ties into the world of Star Wars and the movies. Tiffany, what is going on with Canon?
So first up, we've got some details on Visceral's game coming out that they are saying is going to be about a young Han Solo. But what's so interesting about this is obviously...
That's rumored, right?
Yeah, rumored. But obviously we had Battlefront that came out, wasn't canon. There was some stuff in there that was, but you could do whatever you wanted in the world. This one, they're saying they're working closely with the writers of the new film because they don't want to have anything that doesn't work well together. So that, to me, was really interesting and exciting. Also a little scary because I'm like, the fact that the game is mostly written already, and then they're having these writers come in, I don't want to see any inconsistencies or spoilers.
Well, I wonder how much they've talked to Lawrence Kasdan, because remember, if this is indeed the Han Solo game, Lawrence Kasdan wanted to do this movie before he even signed on to do The Force Awakens. Like, they asked him about, I think what he said, something along the lines that George said before he even sold the company, that they were going to do these spin-off movies. And he's like, well, we're thinking about doing this, this, and this. And he's like, I want to do this one. And it was Han Solo. So you have to talk to Lawrence Kasdan to if you're going to indeed make this part of the canon and tell the story throughout it. So we don't know if it indeed is Han Solo, but everything is pointing that it is.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to this game very much so, because it's going to be, it really, to me, even though Battlefront's a lot of fun to play, it's the first time you get to go back first time you go into the new canon, into the story as a player. But what do you think, John?
Well, you were mentioning before about how, the canonization of everything. And it's like, I remember, I might have been watching it with you, Kristian, with the Battlefront. It's like, there's a big battle going on between Luke and the Emperor down on the moon of Endor. It's like, I don't remember that being canon. So, but still, it is a daunting task when they say they're going to try to make the games fall in with canon as well. That's a daunting task. And we've already seen with the first game out of the gates, you can't really do it. You can sort of do it.
But that wasn't a story mode game, though.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. So to say our games are going to be canon, well, you say that, but there's a big asterisk on the end. It's like, well, sort of, it will be. Because it's an almost impossible task for them to do it. And if they can even get close, that should be applauded. So I'll be honest with you. For me, myself, I am cutting Lucasfilm every bit of slack when it comes to the video games. And when it comes to video games and canon, I'm like, when you're saying what the background is, don't change the background. Say, this is the universe we live in, but then do whatever you want to do in the games. I won't hold you to it when it comes to the movies. Just make a good, fun, entertaining game, and we're cool.
Tiff?
I mean, I think it could be really exciting, because I think the fact that you could have a game that does tell story is cool and awesome, and I love that. But I do agree that I think that it just opens the door to having a lot more inconsistencies and for having people say, oh, this isn't what happened in the movie, and then this is confusing here. So I think it is something where it's like, we are staying true to the main canon. But if it's a game where I get to run around and do whatever I want within that world, it's obviously going to have some liberties with canon.
Yeah, I think the flip side to that, though, is that I also think it's going to be pretty exciting, though, when you're watching the actual story mode and when you know it is part of history. Like, there's going to be something pretty awesome about that.
Also, are they performance capturing whoever's playing the young Han Solo?
I know. No, that's a good call. Okay, so what is next?
Next up, this week we had Kanan, The Last Padawan comic, issue number 9 come out. What I loved about this one for me is just the fact that we are getting to the place where we're seeing the Rebels characters in the comic. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think it is really cool that is finally getting to the place where we're getting to see them. Those worlds are colliding a little bit more. What do you think, Kristian?
I love this episode. This is the most consistent comic book. It's episode issue. I do that often. This issue was great, and it's the most consistent comic book out of all the comics that have come out so far. I don't know if I've disliked many issues of the Kanan comic book. It was one that I thought, okay, I'm looking forward to it because I like Kanan, but it's great. Greg Weisman has such a lock on this character, and he's clearly telling a story that he's wanted to tell for a long time. We were able to talk to him when he was on Jedi Council, and he talked about how he had all these ideas when he was executive producer on Rebels Season 1 back in the day, and they're clearly making their way into the comics. It's consistent to who Kanan is as a character. There are some throwbacks into the Clone Wars, which are really cool, and if you're a Clone Wars fan, even if you weren't, you won't be lost, but if you were a fan, it's cool to see some nods, and he even makes those battle droids, the Roger battle droids, look pretty menacing, so it works.
And you get to see Caleb/Kanan
Yeah.
totally be a badass.
Yeah.
I loved that. I love seeing that.
All right, what's next?
Next up, we have the Vader annual, issue number 1. It's just one standalone story. But I think what's great about these annuals is the fact that if you are trying to get into the comics and you want a good jumping off point, the annuals are always a great place to start. I think that this one stays true to what the Vader comic is doing, which is still one of my favorites. But it picks up after the destruction of the Death Star. And seeing Vader in this situation, again, reminded me of, which book was it? The Lords of the Sith. Yeah. It really reminded me a lot of some of the stuff that happened in there, and getting to see it in the comic world was really cool, where people think they can stand up to Vader, and it's like, meh.
It stayed consistent with what he has been doing throughout, what, like you said, Lords of the Sith or Siege of Lothal or the Vader comic itself. Now, this, so people aren't confused, because I was at first. There's some, and I don't want to spoil anything for people, but there are some characters in here that I was like, oh, I didn't know that they were still around. How's that? And then it takes place before the events of some of the stuff that happens to Vader. But I loved this issue. So annual just means it just comes out once and then it's done, one and done.
Yep.
So it's just Vader being Vader, man. It really is, and he's hunting. He's doing some hunting. It's people trying to think they can get the best of him. They can't. So
spoiler.
Yeah, but come on, it's Vader.
I know. I'm kidding.
You can't get the best of Vader.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you're a big Darth Vader fan and you have been reading the Vader comic in general, you should check out Darth Vader Annual number 1.
I like looking at John's face as he's turned around looking at the comics, and he's like, nah.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is with him is that he's waiting for like the big massive
The collections.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the collections.
The trades to come
All
out.
right,
Yeah.
what is next?
And finally, we have the preview of the Force Awakens novel. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this one because the actual hardcover copy in the bookstores got pushed back because they didn't want to release it before the film came out due to spoilers, but it is being released on the 18th on audio, so I totally listen to things on Audible. I'm like, did I read the book? No, I audibled it, or I'm audibling it.
Right.
So I've got that going on, but the great thing about it is that you guys were just saying, that you were explaining to me before the show, this is the first one that is a canonical book version of the film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I am probably the most excited for any canon novel. This is the one that I am most excited about, because now that I've seen the movie, this is, like you said, this is the first time that there's ever been a novelization of a film that the things that happen that don't happen on screen are part of history.
Yeah.
So things that, and the guy who wrote Splinter of Mind's Eye, Alan Dean Foster himself, they brought him back. He's writing it. So things that are happening that I didn't know about certain characters, I'm going to read about. I'm going to blow through this thing. I already know. Yeah. I can already see it, that the second I get it, it's going to be 2 or 3 days. I'm going to be toast.
Oh, I'm listening to it on my flight on my way home.
Yeah, I'm going to fire through this thing. Are you pretty excited for this one?
No.
Get out of here. Come on. Why?
I think.
How are you not excited for this one?
I've seen the movie, and here's the thing. I told you this beforehand. Look, I have no problem with it. I mean, that's fine. Yeah. But here's the thing. I think the very fact that the novelizations of the movies are now canon, I think more than anything else, that is going to make sure that they put as little that isn't in the movie in the books. So this isn't going to be like the Phantom Menace novelization and all that kind of stuff, where there's a lot of extra stuff that wasn't canon, but there's a lot of extra stuff. Now that it is all canon, I think what we're going to see is that other than an extra from a certain point of view here, whatever, I really don't think you're going to see a lot that isn't already in the movie.
Au contraire, mon frère. I will also say that the stuff that didn't make the scenes, or stuff that they
wanted.
There are
some characters that were there that aren't there that were there.
Yeah.
What would they?
Well, I don't think you're going to see anything significant.
I think things that they wanted to put in the movie, but it was either too long, or stuff that really worked that maybe they said, okay, well, we can put that in the book, or whatever it might have been doing, because they brought on Alan Dean Foster a while ago. So
yes,
he's been looking at scripts. He's been talking to JJ and talking to everybody too. He's going to be doing some detailing, and I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that was supposed to be in the movie that couldn't make it in, that they're going to let him go further.
I think it'll be inconsequential.
My one worry
I hope you're
about
right.
it.
I hope you're right.
I think so.
My one worry about it, though, is that I don't want the books to end up being the like, oh, we couldn't explain that in the movie, so let's explain it in the book. Because there was one thing that happens within the film that someone asked me, was like, oh, what's going on here? And I was like, well, it was in the books. Like,
Yeah. Okay, that's everything in the world of what's the deal with canon. Now it's time to hear from you guys. Throughout the week, throughout the month, you guys have been hashtagging Collider Jedi Council. We go through them, we take a bunch, and we read them on the air. Tiffany, what is first today?
All right, so our first one is from Jason Schaefer, and he asks, Collider Jedi Council, now that you've met them, what new characters would you like to see expanded upon outside of the main film?
We cannot answer that question.
I know.
That's exactly what I said.
What we're going to say is that there's two ways to do it. It's either say, okay, fast forward or pause it, but I think we don't even go into it. All I would say is watch next week for that particular question. But what we will say is that there are a lot of opportunities to explore more in the films and in the books and in the comics, and I think you're going to see a lot more of these new characters, whoever they might be, in those
I'll give you a
books.
safe answer. The ones I would like to see them expand upon more are the ones that survive. I mean, really, I love all these new characters so much. I was really impressed because I did not think I was going to love them all, and I love them all.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to see them expand on the ones that make it out of this movie.
Right.
And so there you go. Nice safe
Or the
answer.
ones that don't.
Well, it can't really expand on the ones that don't.
Not necessarily.
No, I'm just
you can go
saying,
back in
here's
the
the thing,
books.
you
You can
could
go
have
back in
more
the
You
books.
do
story.
prequel stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what's next?
Our next one comes from Dusty Pearson, who asks, do you guys think Vader and Obi-Wan crossed paths during the time between episode 3 and 4?
I hope so, and I'll tell you why. Because I was watching Return of the Jedi recently, and there's a scene when Vader says to Luke, when he first captures Luke, or Luke gives himself up, and he says, Obi-Wan once thought as you did. Now that to me implied that Obi-Wan thought that there was still light in him and that he can come back. We didn't see that in the prequels. We certainly didn't see that in the prequels. He just left his friend there burning and he took off. It gives it opportunity, if it happens in, let's say, an Obi-Wan anthology movie or whatever, a book or a comic, to maybe think Obi-Wan giving it one more shot to see if his friend is truly dead. And that's the moment that Vader was talking about. I think that they could do that and that way get rid of one of those inconsistencies from the prequels. What do you think?
Not a chance.
No, you don't think so?
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Not a chance. I would like to see it. I think that, like you're saying, even in Return of the Jedi, when the Obi-Wan ghost comes back and he's talking about, that he's not your dad anymore. He was completely gone. And so I think that having more of those interactions, even in Rebels, where it's like you get to see the interaction of Ahsoka and Vader, and you're like, I just want to see more. Does she know? What does she know? How is this going down? There's so much tension there that I would love to see more of it. Do I think that it could happen or did happen? I don't know. Would I want to see it? Yes.
I have a feeling you're going to say not a chance.
Yeah, no, not a chance. It would be radically inconsistent. One of the very first things that Vader says to Obi-Wan when they confront each other in A New Hope is that the last time we met, I was just the student. Right. Now I am the master. They could not have met again later where that would have been true. where Vader was the student and Obi-Wan was the master. And it would just, and it's all been set up in Star Wars that, he didn't even know that dude was still alive.
Right.
So I would find it to be a harsh inconsistency if they did that. Now, having Obi-Wan come back and crossing paths with Maul again, that's a different story.
Right.
You could do a lot with there, but I don't think you can ever see Vader and Obi-Wan together.
I don't disagree with it. I just think it would be kind of interesting if they...
It would be interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot to flesh out in it, which would be really cool.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
So our next one comes from Tampa Movie Guys, and he says, hearing good things about Kylo Ren, is he better than the villains Marvel has been struggling with?
Well, again, not giving away too much here with Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren, I thought, was the most developed character in the movie.
Biggest surprise character to me.
Yeah, so the answer to that, and for me, because one of the things is I don't necessarily know if he sees himself as a villain. So I think
good villain does see themselves as a villain.
So as far as a villain goes, I think that he's a very well done villain, and Marvel has had problems with villains. I think he's better than any villain Marvel has had so far in the MCU for sure, because there's so much to him.
I think when you look at him, there is, I won't say which one, although you might be able to figure it out. He reminds me a lot, in many ways, although he's still very different and unique, in many ways he reminds me a lot of one particular Marvel villain. I won't go into which way, but in the way that he has several layers. He has emotional layers that will surprise you a lot when you see the film. I've said this on the non-spoiler review. I'll say it again here. Kylo Ren is not who I thought he was going to be as a character. He was a different dude than I was expecting, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with both of you guys. I think that this character had so much depth to him that we haven't even gotten the whole story yet. And I think that it's a character where, because of that, he feels like such a great villain because you understand a little bit more why he's doing what he's doing. And like you said, he doesn't know that he's a villain.
Right.
Every good villain that we've ever seen doesn't think that they're a villain. They think they're doing the best thing for everyone, for themselves. And so I think that with the Marvel films, sometimes it ends up being, because of the fact that the Marvel films are so bright and fun, you've got to have a villain that's like a caricature of a villain. And I think in this world you don't have to do that, and it can be very layered and very intricate in who the person really is.
Okay, what's next?
All right, so our next Twitter question comes from Jedi Davy 0804. And they ask, will you guys do a commentary video on The Force Awakens when it's released on DVD?
We never thought about it. Because
Yes!
we were doing we were going to try to get 4, 5, and 6 done.
We still got to get 4, 5, and 6
but
done.
7
yeah.
would be interesting to do.
Well, we've talked about, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
people seem to be eating up these commentaries that we're doing. We did all the 3 prequels. We still have to get the original trilogy. Our goal was to get the original trilogy done before The Force Awakens came out. Schedules just didn't allow it. So we are going to do them in January. We'll definitely knock those out. But we've talked about, people seem to love these. Maybe we should do one a month. We should pick one great movie a month and do it. I can't imagine us not doing one for The Force
probably
Awakens.
wind up doing it.
And this time we can have Tiffany there, and it would be great.
Wouldn't it be cool if they have an extended edition one and we could do the commentary and watch it for the first time together?
Yep.
Oh, that would be kind of
That'd
slick.
be cool. Okay, what is next?
What is next? Our next question comes from Carlos Gomez, who says, what is your ranking for the Star Wars movies?
I'll go with this one because I'm still, and this could definitely change after Sunday because I'm going to see it again. But as of now, I'll go from worst to best. Attack of the Clones is way in the toilet and will never go. And then Phantom Menace, and then Revenge of the Sith. And then they're in the lava pit. And then you go up here, tied right now, is Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. They're tied. Then stop it. You stop that right now. New Hope, and then my favorite of all time is Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, mine are in the movie order. Mine go the original 3, original order. A New Hope is always going to be my ultimate favorite because I think it's just introducing you to the world and just built out what I expect from all the other movies. But I will say there is a chance that, because I'm seeing The Force Awakens again tonight, I'm seeing it again over the holidays, that The Force Awakens could take over that 3rd spot.
Yeah.
Right now it's still in 4th position, and then the prequels, they're just all in a clump down at the bottom. So that's my ranking.
I would go Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, then go way up here, Force Awakens, New Hope, Empire.
New Hope is your third favorite?
There, but it's like 10, 10.1, 10.2. And so and then at the top for me is Return of the Jedi. So my thing is Return of the Jedi, Empire, New Hope, The Force Awakens, then the prequels.
And could Force Awakens go into a tie, you think, or you think that's probably a good spot for
That's
it?
a tall order.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're talking about the original
I
trilogy.
know.
It's super tall order. Ask me again in 5 years.
Okay. All right. Do we have it? Yeah, we have a couple more. What's next?
All right. So our next one, is from KP Kev the Poet, who just says, been following their countdown for months. It feels like watching friends live their dreams. Collider Jedi Council, and the picture of us on the carpet. Which
I love this particular tweet because what it shows, and even from the people that we met at the premiere, you know, whether it be someone like Donald Faison or some people that we ran into, these fans, Star Wars fans, are the best fans in the world. And the fact that they have embraced us to be spokesman for Star Wars, for them to be able to follow us and to listen to us every week talk about Star Wars, it means a lot. Like I was at the Burbank 16 not 2 hours ago, and some kid came up to me and said, Jedi Council, watch it every week. It means so much to me. I got a message about it today too. It means so much to me as a Star Wars fan that you guys enjoy hearing us talk every week about this. So we're doing this journey with you guys with us, so thank you so much.
Yeah, it's crazy because we're not Star Wars people. We are not involved in the making of the films. We are just fans.
Yeah.
And I know, like, when I had a friend of mine who got to go to the Super Bowl, and I got to get on his social media and follow him, like pictures at the tailgate they did at Force, then going to the stadium, then going into the stadium, and it did feel like I got to live vicariously through my friend for that event. And I think we around here, we feel like a responsibility.
Yes.
Because we are just lucky enough that we get to participate in certain things and have certain people come in, whatever, that we wanted to share as much as we could of our experience of that night, because we know a lot of people have been gracious enough to follow us and do stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like we have an obligation to do that, and it's awfully awesome that we get to do that.
I mean, even the way that they've embraced you right off the bat.
I was going to say, I mean, obviously I've tweeted this, but you guys have been so awesome and kind and sweet. And so it was cool because through some of the other jobs that I do and just knowing you guys, I was already going to the premiere. And then it was the perfect timing where it was like, okay, I'm going to the premiere. We started the Jedi Council officially as I'm being a guest here all the time. Well, not a guest now because I'm permanent. Whatevs. But so it just worked out so perfectly that it was like getting to be on the carpet with all of us, where it's like whether we'd been doing Jedi Council or not, we would have all been on the carpet together talking about all of the cool things going on. And it's great to get to have all of you guys react with us and support us. And, you know, it's not even like John was saying, it's not like we're working on the film. So we're just fans and we just get to talk about it. And that's why when we do see you guys and you want to talk to us about it, we're so down to do it. Because that's what we do here every week.
Okay, what's next?
Our next one comes from Joey Lagoni. And he says, Kristian, do you think Zeb's design came from the original Chewie concept art?
Oh, yeah, we missed.
Did I skip one? Oops. Sorry.
Sorry,
Original Pirate says, do you feel like the time you spend reading the EU books and comics was paid off in the movie?
Absolutely, I do, because I think that and it's funny that Tiffany said that there's a particular moment in the movie that I just glossed over and I just knew because I had read all the novels. Now, your friend who asked you didn't know what was going on with this one particular point because they didn't read the novels.
Can I just for a second here? I want to make sure we're answering the same question, because he was asking about the EU.
Wait, no,
Expanded universe. He did say EU. He said EU and the comics.
So
he's not even talking about the.
I don't think he's talking about the
stuff
Tarkin novel, the new books. I think he's talking about
old school one?
well, he said the EU, so that would be
if you
the
mean
old school
if you
stuff.
mean the old school stuff, no, and that stuff doesn't. I mean, none of it kind of plays into anything because it's not canon. So, but. Do I regret reading any of it? No, the stuff that I read, I loved.
Great.
I mean, the
There's some great treasures
Darth Bane
in the
trilogy,
EU.
the Thrawn stuff, the Plagueis stuff. It's all awesome.
The X-wing stuff, the Jedi Academy stuff,
but it's not canon, so that doesn't further anything. But if you are talking about the new canon, then I felt like I knew a little bit more because I read the history books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a little hard because I've talked about this where I'm like, I always wanted to just be something when we're reading the books or reading the comics now, that it's something that just adds to it, that it's not something that if you're not doing it, you feel like you're missing out. And we'll talk about this after you guys have all seen it, but there's one thing that I'm like, it's kind of like, it's not so huge, but I'm like, it kind of leaves a question where you're like, what?
Right.
That I don't want that to continue to happen. I don't want that to be the norm where it's like, if you don't read the books, there are questions that don't get answered for you.
Yeah, that would be a mistake on their part, yeah.
Okay, what's next?
All right, so our next one comes from Original Pirate. How menacing is Snoke, a.k.a. Darth Jar Jar, compared to the Emperor in A New Hope?
Well, Emperor wasn't actually in A New Hope. But I think he means maybe, let's say Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much about him yet.
Yeah,
but
we got to be careful.
Yeah, what I will say is that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's what
I think you put it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Next.
Our next one comes from Admiral Slackbar.
I love that.
Would you want to see JJ do another Star Wars movies in the future?
Yes, and I'd like to see him either do an anthology movie, but I actually got to, when I interviewed him for Fandango, I asked him about the television series. I'd like to see him do TV. I think that he's already set up the film universe. If they are going to do TV, why not have him do it on Netflix or wherever they're going to put it? I think that would be great. Well,
and actually, in one of the interviews that you did for Weekend Ticket, JJ talks about the fact where he was like, when they asked him to do more, he said, I'm in kind of the best position where it's like, if The Force Awakens does really well, then I've set it onto a good place and I'm done. If it doesn't do well, then I'm done as well because no one's going to want me to do another one.
He did consider it, though. Like when I asked him, I said, did you ever consider doing episode 9? He said, yeah, he did.
But I think that JJ is amazing when it comes to television. If we did get a TV series and JJ was on board for that would be my ideal from him.
You want to see him come back?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would love it. I'm glad he's not coming back for episode 8 or 9. I like the whole idea of switching up the directors, but at some point, now that I've seen The Force Awakens, then I would love to see him come back at some point. I really would.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right, so our next tweet comes in from Nicholas Gray. Why do the Sith have a rule of 2 when there are thousands of Jedi?
Because to hide in the shadows, and if they go,
and that's how the Sith say it too. Because we hide in the shadows.
Now, if they go,
all right.
But if they go,
I have an image in my head of Matthew McConaughey being a Sith Lord. It doesn't work.
Dark side. Now, if you go back, now we know that the character Darth Bane, who I mentioned before, is indeed canon because in Clone Wars, for Yoda, when he stumbled upon his spirit, talked about the rule of 2 and how Darth Bane is canon, that he was the one who created the rule of 2. Now, in the old books, the reason why Darth Bane created the rule of 2 is because the Sith were always trying to. They always coveted power, so an army of them, it didn't work. They were killing each other. That's why they couldn't win. And it was just the more and more they craved power, it was just this big mess of power. So he created just 2 of them, one to harness the power and one to crave it. And it worked for thousands of years. Now, whether or not they're going to keep that mythology, I don't know. But it seemed to be that for a very long time because they were always plotting.
And they always had forces.
And
so it's not like they were just 2 bad guys. They had their minions. They had their forces.
But even the training, though, too. If you look at during the Clone Wars, you had Dooku was trying to train Ventress because eventually he wanted to overthrow Palpatine, but she wasn't officially a Sith.
Yeah.
So the same thing, Darth Maul, he was the Sith, then he got cut in half, and then when he came back, he was discarded. So he wasn't a Sith. So he was always craving the power.
In Lords of the Sith, when it's the Emperor and Vader together, and you see, they explained more of what the Emperor's thinking when he's saying things, even when he's trying to, delve into Vader's psychology as well. It's you see the fact that even though the Emperor is in this position that's above Vader, he knows that at some point Vader is going to try and usurp him. And that's why I think
that's the weird thing. It's his job to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Emperor would be disappointed if he didn't try
exactly.
to do it. Yep. It's a crazy system.
Yeah.
But it works.
Yes,
it works for the Sith.
I think we'll take a couple more. What's next?
All right, so our next tweet comes from Emily Dainzer. Could Boba Fett be the villain in the new Han Solo movie?
I hope not, but I think he probably will be.
No.
I'm exactly with you. I hope not, and I think he probably will be.
I would prefer to see him and Han doing something together.
I mean, he's a hired gun,
yeah.
and he doesn't really necessarily have a beef with Solo. It's just that I just
it
don't know
could be
what.
that they're sent on the same mission,
they had
bounty
a history,
hunting.
Though I always got the feeling
Well,
like the panic in Han's voice, because he knew who Boba Fett was. And he's like, Boba Fett, whoa,
Yeah.
when he's so good,
Yeah.
like there. I always got the sense they had history.
Well, he's not after him in the Star Wars comics. He's after Luke right now.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
but I still think there was history there.
maybe.
But
maybe.
that's where I feel like, I mean, even when you look at like the Indiana Jones movies, where it's like somebody else is going after that same thing that Indiana Jones is going for. So it's like if they were sent on a mission from whoever to go get something, and
Yeah.
it's like they're not necessarily villains, but they're going after the same thing. That could be really cool.
Okay, I think this is the last one.
So our last one for today comes from James Bacon. Yes, I love bacon too, James. What's the deal with Lando? Is he still around in the new trilogy? Hashtag.
It's funny because Billy D. Williams was there and he was on the red carpet.
Oh my God,
and they
this is
asked
the
him,
best.
and
Did a
he
great interview.
He did a great interview, and he kind of dodged it a little bit too. Whether they said he was going to come back, and I'd love to see. Look,
Didn't he just say you'll have to wait and see?
Well,
Yeah.
we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
yeah, I can't say the reason why I either think he will or won't, because it's going to spoil something. But I'll talk about it next week.
I think he will.
You'll pop back.
I think he'll pop back in. I really do. Like they've been keeping their connections with him because he's been in a few episodes of Rebels.
Yep. And he's been great in Rebels.
And he's been great in Rebels. He popped up on the red carpet. They specifically asked him, "You think he'll come back?" And then he was kind of quiet about it. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, so I have a feeling they're going to bring him back.
Yeah.
Either he's just as slick as Lando in real life, or he's been coached.
Yeah.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
All right, that's our show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Collider Jedi Council. Make sure that you guys leave your comments. Tell us exactly, first of all, if you've gone and you've seen the movie, let us know what you thought of it. Any of the topics that we talked about today that you want to chime in, please do that. Share this episode. Let other Star Wars fans know about it. Continue to tweet, #Collider Jedi Council. I'd like to thank the council that joined me today. Of course, she is the Sith Lord, Tiffany Smith. Where can the good people find you?
You guys can all find me on social media at Tiffany's Tweets, Insta, Twitter, and Snapchat. And then you can find me on Fandango. Our movie threesome episode with Ahsoka Tano just went up today. So check that out. And then Weekend Ticket. You may even see me singing a little song on there.
Right next to her is Obi-Wan Kenobi, John Campea. Where can the people find you?
Monday through Friday on Movie Talk, Tuesdays on Heroes, also Tuesdays when the show comes back on the Flash Recap Show, Wednesdays on the Rebels Recap Show, Thursdays right here on Jedi Council, and on Saturdays and Sundays on Mailbag. And you can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter simply at John Campea.
You need more to do. Make sure that you also check out the episode of Jedi Council next week, because I assume a lot of you will have seen The Force Awakens. Myself, John Campea, and John Schnepp will be here today. Maybe we're working on a special guest, but as of right now, the three of us will be going heavy into detail on the movie and would love to get your guys' thoughts on that. Thank you guys once again. And like I said, #Collider Jedi Council, and follow me at Kristian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram. May the Force be with you. Always.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.